welcome back everybody. We will continue our discussions on the second law of thermodynamics, and we will move forward starting from where we finished. So, in the previous lectures we have talked about the fact that you can define a temperature scale based on the second law of thermodynamics, and it is a universal scale because this temperature scale does not depend on properties or of arbitrary substances, right. At the same time, this temperature scale we proved that it has a universal form, right, because it depends on the definition of the efficiencies of heat engines or refrigerators or heat pumps. And then based on that we looked at how the COP of a heat engine, the COP of refrigerators and heat pumps would vary depending on the temperatures of the thermal reservoirs defined using this temperature scale, and we also looked at how the efficiency of a heat engine can be expressed using those same temperatures. Okay. So, now we will move forward and we will kind of draw an analogy with the first law. See, the first law tells you that any system has to have a thermodynamic state property called energy, or in other words, if you remove the kinetic and potential energy, the first law tells you that there has to be a state property called the internal energy, right. And similarly, we will see that the second law also tells you that there has to be a property, a state property, which we will in future refer to as entropy. We will not talk about entropy in this lecture, but we will take the steps which lead us to defining entropy. So, the first step towards that will be to prove something called a Clausius inequality, which is a very important step. So, let me begin with that. So, today's topic will be Clausius inequality. Okay. Okay. So, to prove this, what is Clausius inequality? Let us take a heat engine. So, before I state this, I think it is much better if I just derive the Clausius inequality and then do the subsequent discussions. So, let us take a typical heat engine that we have been considering so far. So, you have a high temperature reservoir, let us say at temperature TH, and you have a low temperature reservoir or a sink at temperature TL, and you have placed a heat engine in between, right. This is suppose this is a reversible heat engine. So, this is an RHE, meaning reversible heat engine. This is taking in some amount of heat QH from the high temperature reservoir, and it is dumping heat QL into the low temperature reservoir or the sink, and in the process it can produce some work which we can call W out. Okay. So, we have seen in the previous lectures how QH and QL are related. Okay. So, we have seen that QH by TH is equal to, or maybe not directly write that. So, we have seen that QH by QL, that is nothing but TH by TL, and this is how we this is courtesy of how we define the temperature scale, okay, the thermodynamics temperature scale, which is nothing but the absolute temperature scale. So, then I can write that QH by TH is equal to QL by TL. Remember again that this is valid for a reversible heat engine. So, we are always talking about, right now we are talking about a reversible heat engine. Reversible heat engine. Okay. This is only valid for a reversible heat engine. So, this is true, then I can probably write this minus. So, I just take the QL by TL on the left hand side and write the equation like this. So, it is QH by TH minus QL by TL is equal to 0. That is what we end up with. Okay. So, let us calculate this quantity for the heat engine. So, let us calculate the quantity del Q by T integral del dQ by T, or let me put a bar here, integral dq by t for this quantity, or maybe I can put a delta here, that will be better, integral del q by t for the heat engine over one cycle. So, you see that the heat engine only receives heat during two processes. One is, so it receives heat from the it receives QH amount of heat from the reservoir, from the high temperature reservoir or the source, which is at TH. So, during that process of receiving heat, this integral or rather this heat transfer process, QH heat transfer at temperature from a source of temperature TH will contribute this much to this integral, right. It will contribute the amount QH by TH to this integral with a plus sign, right, because you are giving heat to the heat engine. And let me remind you that in this case the heat engine would be considered to be, this is what we consider as our system. So, this is our system and this happens to be a closed system. So, for this system, if we calculate this quantity integral del q by t, we see that this heat transfer between the source and the heat engine will contribute this much to the heat engine, this much to the integral. Okay. Similarly, if we calculate the contribution from this heat transfer, the heat transfer from the heat engine to the sink, if we contribute if we calculate the contribution of this heat transfer process to the integral, that will be QL by TL, but with a minus sign, because for this process to take place QL is negative, right, because heat is leaving the system, and that we see is equal to 0. And by the way, you should remember that that is the only heat interaction this system has with the surroundings, right. There are no other heat interactions. The only heat interaction that this system, this box system has with the surroundings is QH heat in at temperature TH and QL heat out at temperature TL. Okay. There are no other heat interactions with the surroundings. So, this integral will have no other terms, right. The only two terms will come from these two heat interactions. So, then I can write that for a reversible heat engine, so reversible heat engine integral del q by t is equal to 0. What I would encourage you to do is, this I am not going to show in the lecture or in the video. What you can do is, you can actually calculate this quantity meticulously by considering a Carnot cycle, right. So, assume, take a heat engine which operates in a Carnot cycle. You know what Carnot cycles are, has been discussed in the lectures. So, just calculate this quantity, assuming the heat engine to be operating in a Carnot cycle and all the processes to be quasi equilibrium processes and reversible processes. Assuming that, you calculate this quantity and what you will see is that you will get that this is 0, this equality you will get. You will eventually see that this integral over the entire cycle. So, this is a cyclic integral. Let me put a cycle here just to indicate that this is a cyclic integral. So, this is over one cycle, of course, you can understand from the expression. So, anyway, even if you do this calculation step by step by assuming that this heat engine is operating in a Carnot cycle, you will see that this is what you get. Okay. And this what I have shown here is just a shortcut of reaching that same conclusion. Okay. So, for reversible heat engine we conclude that the cyclic integral of del q by t is equal to 0. Now, let us consider an irreversible heat engine. Okay. So, for an irreversible heat engine, and by the way, let me also tell you that even if you calculate this same integral for a heat pump or a refrigerator which are reversible, you will get the same answer. So, this is true for reversible heat engines, refrigerators or heat pumps, okay. But this is only true as long as those devices are reversible, which means you should remember that, which means that the temperature at this boundary will be, which can only be infinitesimally small as compared to Th. Okay. If this source temperature is Th and heat transfer is taking place between Th and the heat engine, that means the temperature at this point of the heat engine boundary through which heat is entering into the heat engine, that has to be infinitesimally small, that can only be infinitesimally small than Th. If there is a finite temperature difference between the heat engine and the source, then the heat transfer will not be reversible, it will become irreversible. Similarly, here also the temperature of this point of the heat engine from which the temperature at the boundary from which the heat transfer is taking place to the sink, that also can only be infinitesimally larger than আমি ক্লাসে আছি হ্যাঁ sorry, can we restart? So, right. So, then so the temperature of this point from which heat transfer is taking place from the heat engine to the sink, the temperature of that point can also only be infinitesimally larger as compared to this sink temperature, because otherwise the heat transfer will be irreversible. So, for this entire heat engine to be reversible, you must have this point temperature arbitrarily close to Th or close to Th, and the temperature of this point almost equal to Tl. Okay. Same goes for heat pumps and refrigerators. So, now let us consider an irreversible heat engine. Okay. So, what happens for an irreversible heat engine? So, let us consider a heat engine which is internally irreversible. That means, this heat transfer is taking place reversibly, meaning this heat transfer is taking place across an infinitesimally small temperature difference. Okay. Similarly, this heat transfer is also taking place across an infinitesimally small temperature difference. So, there is no irreversibilities arising out of the heat transfer, but still the heat engine can be irreversible because it can be internally reversible, right. So, there can be internal irreversibilities, for example, there can be viscosity of the working fluid can lead to irreversibilities. So, and there can be many other sources of irreversibility. So, this heat engine is internally irreversible. So, we are considering an internally irreversible heat engine. Okay. And the source and the sink temperatures remain the same. So, Th, Tl remain the same, they do not change, right. So, then I know that the eta of the reversible heat engine has to be larger than eta of the irreversible heat engine. This is Carnot's principle, right. So, I can say that 1 minus QL by QH for the reversible heat engine. So, this R now denotes heat transfer in the reversible heat engine has to be larger than 1 minus QL by QR for the irreversible heat engine, right. 1 minus QL by QH for the irreversible heat engine, which means that QL IR by QH IR has to be larger than QL reversible by QH reversible. Like this inequality automatically leads to this step, right. So, remember that these are heat transfers taking in the internally irreversible heat engine, and these are heat transfers in the reversible heat engine that we have considered before. So, this we know is equal to TL by TH. Okay. So, then I can, so what I can show is that, so from this what I can write is that QL IR by QH IR is larger than TL by TH. Okay. And I can also flip this. So, I can maybe write it by flipping. So, QH L. Oh no, I actually can't flip this. So, let us write it this way only. Yeah. So, you see that this was not true for a reversible heat engine. For a reversible heat engine, there will be an equal sign here, right, because for a reversible heat engine QH by QL was exactly equal to TH by TL. That is how the temperature scale was defined, but for an irreversible heat engine we see that QL by QH is actually larger than TL by TH. It has to be, it follows directly from the Carnot's principle, and Carnot's principle directly follows from second law of thermodynamics, which is the Clausius or the Kelvin Planck statement. Both are equivalent. So, from there here I can write that QL IR by TL is larger than QH IR by TH. Okay. I can do this because all of these are positive quantities. So, I can do this manipulation, and then I can finally write. So, maybe I put a right. Okay. Or in other words, if I now remove the this IR and the R superscripts, what I conclude from here is that QH by TH minus QL by TL for an irreversible, internally irreversible heat engine is actually less than 0. And on the other hand, we noted that for a reversible heat engine, this quantity is always equal to 0, right. So, then I can state that I can combine the results for internally irreversible and reversible heat engines together, and I can write QH by TH minus QL by TL is less than equal to 0. Okay. Now, I can again calculate the quantity delta Q by T for the internally irreversible heat engine, right. This I can calculate for IR. So, internally irreversible, so or rather irreversible heat engine. Okay. I can calculate this quantity, and you will see that this is nothing but this is same as this, right, because even for the internally irreversible heat engine, the same heat transfer processes are taking place, right. So, the same terms will contribute to the integral. Okay. So, you will have one term in the integral coming because of the heat transfer from the source, and the second term in the integral coming because of the heat transfer to the sink. Okay. So, you will eventually get the same answer, same expression, and this is less than 0. So, from this we can conclude that delta Q by T for an irreversible heat engine is less than 0. On the other hand, we here concluded that for an reversible heat engine, refrigerator or a heat pump, delta Q by T is always 0, right, and by the way this is a cyclic integral. Okay. So, now we can combine these two results, and we can say that if the heat engine is reversible, then cyclic integral of del Q by T will be 0. If it is irreversible, then cyclic integral of del Q by T will be less than 0, right. And the same conclusion also applies to refrigerators and heat pumps. So, I can combine the results for reversible devices, reversible heat engines, refrigerators and heat pumps, and irreversible counterparts of those same devices, and I can write that, maybe I will write here. I can write that integral del Q by T is less than equal to 0 for all devices. This is a cyclic integral for all devices, all processes. Of course, I am talking about a cyclic process because this is a cyclic integral. So, so let me write that down here actually, cyclic processes. So, for all cyclic processes, integral of del Q by T is less than equal to 0, right. It will be exactly equal to 0 for reversible cyclic processes, and this will be less than 0 for irreversible cyclic processes, and this inequality is called as Clausius inequality. Clausius inequality. Okay. So, one thing I would like to clarify here is what is the T that we are considering here, right. So, this T is the temperature of the system boundary, temperature of that point of the system boundary through which heat transfer is taking place. Okay. So, in this case, if I can we come back here? Yes. So, in this case I have chosen this black box to be my system and this is my system boundary. Okay. So, in this case this T of del q by T will be exactly the temperature of this point. So, this is the point through which heat is coming into the system. So, this T will be the temperature of this point and exactly this point, it will not be Th, it will be exactly at this point. Now, okay, maybe I can discuss that later, and similarly here the system boundary will be the T of. So, okay, so I have drawn it in a slightly skewed manner. So, actually this system boundary is same as the heat engine's boundary itself. So, maybe let me draw it like this, something like this. So, now the heat engine's boundary and the system boundary are touching each other. So, here for this heat transfer the system boundary, the T that you take is the T of this point, the point through which heat transfer is taking place out of the system. Okay. So, this T will be the temperature of the point through which heat transfer is taking place into or out of the system. Okay. This is not the temperatures of the reservoirs. They can be the temperature of the reservoirs if you consider the entire thing as your system, or they can be the temperature of the reservoirs if you say that there is no temperature difference between this point and that point, or this point and that point, right. In those cases this T will be same as TL for this heat transfer and it will be same as TH for this heat transfer, if there is no temperature difference between these 2 points, or if you extend your system to the boundaries of the reservoirs. Okay. But regardless of that, remember, please keep in mind that this T in this integral is the temperature of that point of the system boundary through which, of that point of the system boundary through which heat transfer is taking place. Okay. Okay. So, this is Clausius inequality, and as we will see in the next lecture, this will have important consequences, and based on this we can define something called entropy. So, let us end here. Thank you.